No spin, no bias, no censorship. I'm Dan Wootton. This is Outspoken episode number 340 and breaking today. Britain's real enemies are emerging as the deep state and the MSM use pitiful distraction techniques like Channel 4, deciding that Tommy Robinson, on a historic trip to Israel where he has been greeted as a hero, is the problem.
More people are going to watch our video than yours.
Fine.
You have become totally irrelevant in every aspect. You lie, you smeared Israel, you're on the side of Hamas, you're humiliation, and no one cares what you say anymore.
In the UK, you are considered a far-right activist.
Okay. Do you?
Meanwhile, the regime media ignores the fact Zarah Sultana has been caught spreading anti-white racism, instead focusing on a deranged witch hunt of Daily Express journalist Christian Calgie. Probably because the Express is the only newspaper brave enough to call out London's failed Mayor Sadiq Khan for his despicable cover-up of the Pakistani Muslim rape gangs.
I'm unclear, Chair, what is meant by the question. If you could spell it out, I can answer.
I've just spelt it out. Are you not listening? It's the sort of gangs that groom young girls at a young age for sex. Exactly how much clearer do you want me to be?
I mean, I find him typical, the latest in a long line of public servants who will lie through their teeth and cover up the truth in order to protect the organisation.
And even as Slippery Starmer literally attempts to cancel more elections, subverting British democracy in the process, the biggest problem is apparently Nigel Farage calling Shamima Begum sympathiser Mishal Husain love.
If you were Prime Minister and NATO jets Russian jets entered NATO airspace, where do you stand on that? Do you think they should be?
Got to shoot them down.
No questions. Whatever that does, however much that inflames tensions.
Listen, love, you're trying
Russia needs to be taught a lesson.
Listen, love, you're trying ever so hard. I'm the only person in the world, I think, that stood up in the European Parliament in 2014. And do you know what I said? There will be a war in Ukraine. It's coming. I'm the only person that got it right.
So I'll call out Britain's real enemies in the digest next and show you that full astonishing exchange between Tommy Robinson and Channel 4. Then the superstar panel are here. Charlie Downs, the campaigns director for Restore Britain, and making his Outspoken debut, independent media sensation AY Audits. Also coming up on the show today, we'll expose Channel 4's sick takedown attempt on citizen journalists trying to expose the reality of the UK's migrant hotel and HMO crisis. Dr. Hilary Jones finally sacked by woke ITV after getting away with the most sickening lies during the COVID fast, and a loose women bullying scandal erupts as one of its star hosts is taken off air following a series of accusations from woke staff. So what's really going on? We will look into that. Then in the uncancelled after show on Substack, the Prince Andrew crisis engulfing the British royal family is just the start, as Prince William is convinced his cancer-stricken father King Charles hasn't gone far enough. So we're going to team up with the Royal News Network today to reveal his audacious new plan to strip Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, Archie and Lily of their titles too, as the nuclear button is set to be pushed. So that's over on Substack, www.outspoken.live after the main show. It's also our first Greatest Britain and Union Jackass of the week. And your nominees today, let me remind you, are Sarah Ferguson. She has been nominated. No longer the Duchess of York, actually. And it was Lee Cohen who said that she rightly should be nominated. We also have Lindsay Hilsum, the aforementioned Channel 4 host, who's gone toe-to-toe with Tommy Robinson, nominated by Tracy 525 for that ambush. And Marina Perkis, nominated by Mad Dog Photo for what appears to be a fake story pretending to be true about a brown-skinned person who helped pick up her son. So, 3 women going head-to-head to be named the worst Britain in the world today. You can vote in the live chat. Keep your comments coming in too. I'll announce the winner and get to your comments at the end of the show. So stay with us today. But now, let's go. Britain's real enemies are very obvious to me. London's failed mayor, Sadiq Khan, covering up the Pakistani Muslim rape gangs. Zarah Sultana of Jeremy Corbyn's nutty Islamist party spreading anti-white hate. Ex-BBC heroine Mishal Husain expressing her sympathies for Shamima Begum. And I'll get onto all of those shortly. But it's astonishing to me that on a weekend where Tommy Robinson has only done good in Israel, receiving a hero's welcome wherever he goes, that Britain's crooked and corrupt MSM, working in tandem with the hard-left Jewish Board of Deputies, have decided that he remains the problem.
I tell you, that's a beautiful feeling, so thank you very much.
Got major issues in London with the protests when you got arrested. That is not the mainstream Jews at all.
No, I know.
I grew up in Golders Green.
Okay.
Parents still live there, and you have massive support from the community.
Thank you. What do you think of because it's a board of deputies who keep attacking me? And are they representative of the British Jews?
Not at all.
No.
I mean, I never voted for them. No one I know voted for them.
No.
They've allocated themselves as the spokespeople for the Jews, and it's a big shame because we have hardly any friends, and then the friends that we have are being pushed away. So it's definitely not the majority.
I know they don't represent. So
I'm from London, Stamford Hill.
Okay, what do you think of the future for you?
You know what I think.
I know, bro.
It's not good.
You think you'll move here?
Yeah, it looks like it.
So many are now.
Yeah, it's getting bad. But
so that means all the good, decent taxpayers, integrated Jews will be leaving, and we'll be flooded with more.
Yeah, well.
We're the only chance we've got to come back to England.
I'm the only chance you've got of coming back?
Yeah.
You left 5 years ago.
Yeah, 5 years ago.
Why'd you leave?
I can't stay in Golders Green. No Golders Green, where all the Jews live?
Yeah.
I can't just stay there. Every time I go out the community, I can't wear a kippah, I get attacked.
So you don't feel you can be visibly Jewish outside of your Jewish area?
Yeah, 100%.
Indeed, in an interview with Jonathan Sachadoshi, Tommy even showed his moderate side.
I just want a Britain where British people are put first. And that's it. Just British people are put first.
Who are those British people?
It's not white people, it's British people.
Right. Does it include me?
Of course it includes you, yeah.
Does it include Muslim?
Of course it includes Muslim.
But of course, Tommy Robinson remains the man the deep state have decided they just must bring down at any cost. So Channel 4 sent its quintessential lefty hack Lindsay Hilsum, whose anti-Israel reporting prioritises agenda over facts, to try and take him down. He pointed out Channel 4, the fair and balanced media, last night sent seasoned journalist Lindsay Hilsum to try and ambush me. But when Avi Yemeni of Rebel News flipped the script and dropped a few awkward facts, she ran. This really is worth watching.
First person, Lindsay Hilsum, Channel 4 News.
Channel 4 News?
Yep, that's us.
So all you do is lie. So whatever you're going to ask, you've travelled all the way here probably on a propaganda piece to try and attack me.
Let me
tell you that. Can I tell you the answer quickly, and then you can ask your question? More people are going to watch our video than yours.
Fine.
You have become totally irrelevant in every aspect. You lie. You smeared Israel. You're on the side of Hamas. You're humiliation, and no one cares what you say anymore. Now ask your question.
What I'm interested to know is that the Board of Deputies of British Jews
Yeah.
says you're a thug. And they say that you represent the worst of Britain.
And where are the Board of Deputies now?
They're in the UK representing British Jews.
They're representing British Jews. Who voted for them to represent British Jews?
Did you vote for them? You're not even Jewish.
No,
Are you Jewish?
I'm Jewish.
You're in our country. Do you support
it's fine.
I don't think that's relevant.
So, can I ask you something?
Because I'm asking you because I'm a journalist.
This works both. I'm a journalist. This works both ways.
So what
do you support Palestinian state being recognised?
I'll
answer your question once you answer one of mine.
I'll
answer your question once you answer one of mine.
I am not giving my opinion because I am
You're
a
not giving your
neutral
opinion.
reporter for Channel 4.
You're a neutral reporter.
What I would like to know is, do you support the state of Palestine being recognised under the Palestinian Authority?
And what I would like to
know...
Will
you answer that question?
No, wait.
You support a terrorist state. Come on. You support a terrorist state. You've flown into Israel whilst you support a terrorist state.
And please don't invoke the Jewish community because there's a
You support a
lot.
terrorist state.
I walk the streets with Tommy Robinson both here and on the streets of Jerusalem, and British Jews thank him. The Jewish Board of Deputies don't represent the Jewish community.
Hold on. Listen, let's have an adult conversation, yeah? I'll ask you a question, you ask me a question. You're a journalist, I'm a journalist. I'll answer any question you want.
The Board of British Deputy Jews says you're not a journalist. They say you're a thug who represents the worst of it. That's what they say. So I'm asking you to respond to that allegation.
I'll respond to that. Have you watched any of the content I've produced since I've been in Israel?
I have, yes.
And is it good journalism? What about the interview with Thomas Hand, whose 8-year-old daughter Emily was kidnapped? Have you watched that interview?
I have seen many interviews with her. And
you're dodging the question. Answer the question. You're saying I'm not a journalist. You're saying I'm not a journalist.
In the UK, you are considered a far-right activist.
Okay. Do you?
But see, there she is hiding behind the Jewish Board of Deputies, who any sane British Jew, and trust me, they're in contact with me, doesn't support. And she's hiding behind them to express her opinion.
And I guarantee you, British Jews and Jews around the world will watch my journalism and they'll applaud it, and they're going to watch your journalism and be ashamed of it. That's the reality. There's between me and you say you've been a journalist for 30 years. How many people are watching your journalism? You don't understand it yet, but you are literally like dying with a terminal illness. You are finished. No one cares about the mainstream media. They watch us. We are now the media. Now, you don't like that. I understand that. And that's why your producers and the government, they want you to fly here and they want you to come here and attack us. But what you don't understand is when you come here to attack us like this, more people are going to support us. People hate you. They've had enough of your lies. What have your lies about Israel since the start of this conflict? And then you have the audacity to come to the state of Israel and stand here and attack me whilst I'm coming to tell the truth about Israel. That's you. You're Channel 4. Okay? Everyone's had enough of you. How many people do you think watch, or actually, how many people do you think actually, generally, as you've seen when I've asked you some questions here today, I've simply asked you some simple questions which you won't give your opinion of. People know when I answer, I mean it. They know the work I do, I care about. You don't care. You will say whatever for your bosses. I won't. I will come, I will find the truth, and I will report it. That's what I do. Okay? So unfortunately for Channel 4, which you've done hit piece after hit piece after hit piece, you haven't just done hit piece against me, you've done hit pieces against Israel. You've been pro-Palestine, pro-Hamas. That's your reporting. Okay? That's your reporting, not mine. I stand on the side of freedom, democracy, equality. This is a Western civilization which is under threat and surrounded by jihadist nations. That's why I'm here. I'm here to show solidarity after October 7th, and I'm here on a fact-finding mission to give the British public the facts on what it's like in the state of Israel. That's it.
Thank you very much.
Tell the Board of Deputies I said hello.
Her face is a picture. Tommy quite rightly then put Channel 4 News on the spot about Labour's plan to make so-called Islamophobia illegal.
If the Islamophobia bill was passed, it would make it illegal to tell the truth about Hamas, what happened on October 7th, and about Islamic rape gangs. That's the Board of Deputies. What do you think about the Islamophobia bill? Do you think we should have an Islamophobia bill which makes it illegal to criticise Islam?
I don't report Britain.
No, I'm asking.
I report from Israel.
You report from Israel. Okay, so you report from Israel. So do you think that we should recognise a Palestinian state under the control of the Palestinian Authority? Simple question, yes or no?
I'm not going to answer it because I'm a journalist who doesn't give my opinion, unlike you. I'm a journalist who reports objectively.
Reports objectively? You call this objectively?
I'm not giving my opinion, am I?
You call this attack? You call this?
What do you think of Tommy Robinson?
I'm asking you a question.
You've come here without, you've come here. You could have watched my journalism since I've been here and reported on that. You could have reported on what we found when we went into South Tel Aviv. You could have reported on what we found when we met Thomas Hand. You could have reported on any of these things. We've done lots of positive work since we've been here. You could have reported on that. You've come here with a preconceived article already written with an attack from the British Jews who hate Tommy Robinson, who says he doesn't represent us. You've already wrote your news piece. You've come here to get your little 2-second soundbite and then to go home. That is not journalism.
And when she got into the realms of personal attacks, Tommy had enough and stormed off.
The point is, you've come here with a preconceived article already written to get a sound point as an attack, as a headline, to say that attack me from mainstream establishment organisations who are not working on behalf of the British Jews.
With respect.
Yes.
You don't know why I've come here, and I have been coming here for 30 years,
yes.
And you are a very small story in a much bigger story.
Here you are, though. Here you are.
That is correct, yes.
And here you are working for Channel 4. And more people will watch my live stream.
The Jewish Board of... Why did the Jewish Board...
Now, what I can guarantee today is that Channel 4 and all of the British regime media are spending much more time trying to destroy Tommy Robinson than they are focusing on the real enemies, like Sadiq Khan, who has finally been exposed for covering up Pakistani Muslim rape gangs in London. Do you remember this infuriating exchange with Susan Hall?
I asked you this question last week and you found every which way but not to answer it. Just how many grooming gangs have we got in London?
To avoid any misunderstanding, can she define what she means by that?
Yes, if you look at what's gone on in Rotherham, where there are people taking young girls, grooming them for sex, that is what I'm talking about.
We know in London there are issues about exploitation of young people, but they're not as defined by the member in her definition of what those types of gangs are.
So are you saying we haven't got the same sort of gangs that are in Rotherham, Bradford and lots of other places in the country?
Just for you misunderstanding, what does she mean by that?
You know full well what I mean by that. It's all over the television. You know exactly what I mean by that. These gangs of people that are grooming young girls for sex. Do we actually have those in London?
Today, I'm unclear, Chair, what is meant by the question. If you could spell it out, I can answer.
I've just spelt it out. Are you not listening? It's the sort of gangs that groom young girls at a young age for sex. Exactly how much clearer do you want me to be?
Well, an Express investigation with Maggie Oliver has now exposed Khan as the scumbag liar we all know he is.
A 13-year-old girl was alone and unsafe in a house with 3 men.
I don't need a report to know that that's wrong.
The 15-year-old girl coerced to go to a hotel.
100% for me. For me, that is unambiguous.
Given drugs and alcohol, made to carry out sexual acts on men.
That is the pattern that I have seen in grooming gangs.
15-year-old girl.
The Met is the last bastion of being able to cover it up.
Told officers she'd been raped by numerous men.
These kind of gangs and this kind of child abuse exists throughout this country, and it has done for decades.
A 17-year-old girl been raped by a number of men.
I want to see somebody in a high place held criminally responsible.
Oliver now wants criminal convictions.
I mean, I find him typical, the latest in a long line of public servants who will lie through their teeth and cover up the truth in order to protect the organisation. I've got the greatest respect for Susan, who would not let Sadiq Khan off the hook, and then to Zach and Callum, who went out and did a deep dive into what, let me make it clear, they have only been able to look at what is already in the public arena. But even with looking at that, it's very clear that Sadiq Khan was using smoke and mirrors to conceal what he must know is really going on in London. And this is just the latest in a long line, Mike, of different towns and cities where the authorities have tried to conceal the truth until it was very clear that it was going to be impossible to cover it up any longer. I think what's also interesting in this is that it was only after Zach and Callum gave Sadiq Khan and the Met, actually, a right of reply that they finally acknowledged that there is a problem, and that was 24 hours after the deadline for their right to reply. So my involvement in this was looking at the cases that Zach and Callum had uncovered and looking at them with my experience and assessing whether I felt that they are a similar pattern that we've seen in Rochdale, in Rotherham, in Telford, in Huddersfield, Keighley, and in my opinion, several of those cases absolutely were.
Yeah. So let me just be very, very clear on this. Sadiq Khan needs to go. He has to resign. And there should be every single news crew in the country outside his office and outside his house hounding him. But of course, the deep state, the MSM, ignoring this story. As Ant Middleton, who has vowed to run against Khan, who wants a third term, pointed out, anyone else would have been sacked ages ago. If he survives this, it will highlight and prove just how deep the corruption goes. Khan wouldn't last a year with my accountability policies. And Lee Harris added, remember Sadiq Khan voted to reject a fully costed inquiry into Pakistani rape gangs in London after seeing evidence that was happening? The cover-up is starting to look really bad for Khan. He is up to his neck in it. He must resign. But of course, one of the reasons we are in this state is that our leaders are too scared to call out the real problem. Look at this over the weekend. Nigel Farage posted on X that elected members of parliament are supporting the ban on Jewish football supporters coming to Birmingham shows just how much trouble the country is in. The police are giving in to extremist intimidation, which will only make them go further. But what he means to say is Islamist intimidation. But he's too scared to use the I word. As World by Wolf pointed out, why won't you ever mention the words Islam or Muslim? You haven't called out Islam by name since your May 2024 interview with Trevor Phillips on Sky. What happened in June 2024? Zia Yusuf came on the scene. And we really need to start talking, right, about the Islam threat, given that Britain's second city, Birmingham, increasingly looks conquered. And there are so many horror examples. Alex Armstrong revealed over the weekend this is Muslim online social media influencer living in the UK. These are not the values of assimilated people. We do not give women whiteboards to communicate with us. It does not belong in the UK. Watch.
Assalamu alaikum. Hope you well, inshallah. She's not going to be in the video, but she's going to have her say with this whiteboard that I bought her. But why is the default that the woman is innocent and the man is always guilty? Okay, that's something my wife wants to say. Salama probably had enough as women give a lot of chances, has zero tolerance now. Okay, this is why I want you here. Yeah, it's very important for you to be here. Yeah, it's just to take the past traumas of their father or ex-husband, etc., and project it on other people. So, okay, she's saying she made the video, not him. I don't know his opinion. Well, exactly. There you go. Okay. There's nothing else I have to say. Anything you'd like to say? If you do, just let me know, inshallah. The Prophet, peace be upon him, told us. He went to the hellfire. Again, I know you guys are going to be like, oh, it's a reality check. Okay. And he saw a majority of the women of the hellfire. Why? He said, not because they are ungrateful to Allah, because they are ungrateful to their husbands. Anything that I said wrong is from shaitan and myself. Anything good is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If there's anything you disagree on, no. Okay. Are you under any duress? You can blink twice. No. Okay, that's fine. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh from myself and my dear wife. May Allah bless you for your contributions. It's a pleasure and an honor.
You can blink twice, for God's sake. Then there's this from David Betts. Between this guy's dream of enslaving your grandchildren and Tony Blair's stated ambition for a Britain of global citizens, anyone else in the country with a vestige of self-worth will understand the left and right arc of the problem facing them. Watch the video he's referring to.
My father changed the nappy of his baby daughter. It's allowed, but it's not the normal, suitable way or role of the father. It should be done by the mother, and that is obviously part of their own haya, their own modesty and the shyness. But if there are other women, of course, it's better for them. Sister, mother, mother-in-law, grandmother, auntie, whoever. If there's somebody else, then it's better for them, inshallah. Or slave girl. Nowadays we can start to return to some of the many other ahkam in Islam which have been absent for many years, because now we have khilafah, we can have slave girls, in the khilafah.
And look at the day-to-day pressure our hard left government is being put under by Islamists.
Today, outside Shabana Mahmood's office, the Home Secretary's office, who yesterday announced that £10 million is going in for funding to combat anti-Semitism. One thing she needs to realise is that there have been more cases of Islamophobia than anti-Semitism in the past year alone. so she needs to check her stats. There needs to be funding going into Islamophobia as well as anti-Semitism. Secondly, we support the West Midlands Police and their decision for banning the violent criminals and the hooligans that are the Maccabi Tel Aviv fans. They caused destruction in Amsterdam, in Holland. They targeted proper working class people, taxi drivers. So we don't want them around here. Birmingham is a peace-loving city, and we don't want violence here.
Recently, any loss of life is wrong. Doesn't matter what it is. What happened in Manchester was wrong. But why blame us pro-Palestinian protesters? What have we done wrong? That you have to bring in rules to say our repeated protests would not be allowed. That is absolutely wrong. It's against our human rights of stopping us from protesting. You know, people didn't elect these people into power, so they come into power and start being a dictator. This is what's happening in this country now.
I mean, it's the hypocrisy of them. They're banning peaceful marches, yet they want hate, people that spread hate come to our country. The club all of Israel should be banned from any sporting event.
Now that final position has been embraced by Jeremy Corbyn's partner in crime, Zarah Sultana, who posted, "Next UEFA must ban all Israeli teams. We cannot have normalisation with genocide and apartheid." Now remember, the entire time Sultana has been in public life, she has been exposed for using white as a racial slur against Jews. So when Christian Calgie, the political correspondent for the Daily Express, replied, "Cannot wait until my taxes no longer fund Zara's salary," Wasted added, "Cannot wait until my taxes fund deporting Zarah." Christian replied, "Even better." Now those two words caused an intense left-wing pile-on all weekend long. Sultana wrote, "A mainstream journalist calling for a British MP to be deported. Is it because I'm Muslim? Next time, just say it with your chest. They'll tell you fascism in this country is a working class phenomenon. That is a lie. It's the ruling class and their snivelling lackeys like Christian here who want us divided. Don't let them win." Labour's Bridget Phillipson even weighed in, the cabinet minister, writing, "Calling for a British Muslim woman to be deported is appalling and unacceptable. Shame on you, Christian Calgie. You should apologise now. This only serves to inflame division and intolerance." But actually, a lot of sound people agreed with Calgie's sentiments. Jess Gill wrote, "You hate Britain. You deserve to be deported." Nuaya Khan added, "It's because there's nothing British about you. You hate this country and its values, not to mention your overt anti-Semitism. But a nice try with the usual Muslim victimhood card. It's beyond boring now." And Graham Linehan, who, by the way, has been cleared by the Metropolitan Police today, thank the Lord, added, "Why is his comment monstrous while your anti-Semitism is acceptable?" But no doubt, threatened with his job, Calgie made what I call a hostage video apology. Writing, "I wish to apologise to Zarah Sultana MP for my inappropriate response to a message on X. It was wrong of me to do so and I am sorry. Taking a break from X to prioritise my mental health." Now, a lot of people weren't happy about that. Connor Tomlinson responded, "No need. She will not afford you the same grace. Sultana is a vindictive race communist who would turn our green and pleasant land into an Islamic slum if given the power. Requesting she relocate to a place that already practices her odious politics is the moderate position." Josh Fern of Lotus Eaters added, "This reads like a post that someone writes not because it is what they believe, but because someone made them do it to keep their job." And Paul Joseph Watson mused, "This is why you don't apologise to people who hate you anyway." But of course, even with Calgie apologising and admitting his mental health was taking a battering, that wasn't enough for the be kind woke left hypocrites. Zarah responded, "Inappropriate? I think the word you're looking for is racist. If you're going to apologise, don't do it mealy-mouthed. Go and educate yourself, and your employer, the Daily Express, could start by actually apologising and providing you with some anti-racism training." And Humza Useless, as we saw there, added, "He's sorry he was caught, not that he said it." Now let's just think about Sultana's own behaviour, which included this recent post seemingly supporting a now proscribed terrorist organisation, We Are All Palestine Action. As Tom Jones wrote, "I've known Christian Calgie since university. He hasn't got a nasty or bigoted bone in his body. He's certainly never said someone should commit suicide for taking foreign policy positions he disagreed with. His mistake was believing he might be held to the same standard as you." And Tom Jones then quoted from this article. During the 2019 election campaign, the BBC reported that in 2015, Sultana made social media posts from an account she had deleted, which implied that she would celebrate the deaths of the former Labour Prime Minister Tony Blair, Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and the former US President George W. Bush, and that she supported violent resistance by Palestinians. As a teenager, Sultana made posts on Twitter telling someone whom she disagreed to jump off a cliff. So Calgie shouldn't have apologised. And I am more than happy to say right here, right now, that Sultana is quite clearly an enemy of Britain who we need to call out. But once again, it was a massive distraction from a real issue. Slippery Starmer's plan to, as Maya Tusi put it, rig the elections by not allowing votes to even happen. Watch Nigel Farage's response, again ignored by the
On
MSC.
May the 1st this year, with the English county elections, they were cancelled in East Sussex, Essex, Hampshire, Norfolk, Suffolk, Surrey and West Sussex. Angela Rayner, then Deputy Prime Minister, simply cancelled the elections, said they're delayed by a year. Coincidentally, they were all areas in which it was thought that Reform would win. Well, can you believe it? The Tory leaders of these councils have now written to the government asking for them to be postponed yet again. And in 2 cases, Tory council leaders openly saying they want the elections to be cancelled because they fear Reform will win. Now, it looks like the Labour government will accede to this demand, and once again, democracy will be denied in all of these counties. That is a complete, total outrage. It'll mean that people elected back in 2021 will be serving 6, 7, who knows how long their terms will be. We are launching this petition because we intend to lobby government as hard as possible to say, why on earth should people pay their council tax if they don't get the chance to vote for people that implement policies that affect their lives locally? So please sign our petition, sign it in large numbers. Let's object to democracy being delayed yet again.
So given that's going on, what do you think the regime media were worried about? Not this bid to subvert democracy, but rather Farage's language towards Shamima Begum sympathiser and ex-BBC hard leftist Mishal Husain. As Rael Braverman put it, the left's chief outrage of the week is that Nigel Farage called a female reporter love. It says everything about the moral and intellectual priorities of our time. Watch.
So if you were Prime Minister and NATO jets Russian jets entered NATO airspace, where do you stand on that? Do you think they should be?
Got to shoot them down.
No questions. Whatever that does, however much that inflames tensions.
Listen, love, you're trying ever
Russia
so hard.
needs to be taught a lesson.
Listen, love, you're trying ever so hard. I'm the only person in the world, I think, that stood up in the European Parliament in 2014. And do you know what I said? There will be a war in Ukraine. It's coming. I'm the only person that got it right.
Seriously. Who cares? He called her love, nothing to see here, move on. But the British bashing corporation's anti-Tommy, anti-Nigel agenda continues unabated. Like in this shameless news interview yesterday with Victoria Derbyshire, where lovely actor David Harwood was able to smear both men with no facts and absolutely no pushback from the state broadcaster.
To ask you, David, because I gather when you were rehearsing, you stepped out of rehearsals and came across the Tommy Robinson rally, however many Saturdays ago that was. What did you make of that?
I mean, it was unnerving, because in the distance you're hearing, "Ooh, Tommy, Tommy," sung by what seemed like thousands of voices, and what's in front of you are mums and dads and what looked like ordinary people, and they weren't the sort of far right figures that you would think would be. I mean, there were plenty of them there, but there was so many ordinary people there, and that's what was unnerving and a little bit worrying.
Do you think the fact that so many people without possibly up to 150,000 says something about the failure of mainstream politicians or not?
You know, people want simplicity, people are looking for easy answers, and these issues are very complicated. In fact, the very person who started the whole Brexit question is probably responsible for half the boats that are coming over here now anyway. So it seems odd that people are going in that direction, which is, the guy who started all this has created the problem in the first place.
Toby, you've won multiple awards and received...
She just moved on. No pushback whatsoever. Now, the Superstar panel. And it is brilliant to have joining Outspoken for the first time today. New independent media sensation AY Audit, alongside one of our favourites, Charlie Downs, the campaign director at Restore Britain. So, Charlie, it is astonishing, isn't it, when you look at this succession of scandals, specifically Sadiq Khan now being exposed for completely covering up the Pakistani Muslim rape gang crisis in London, that the mainstream media are just ignoring it. And yet, as usual, they have their enemies, don't they? Their enemies, Tommy Robinson in Israel and Nigel Farage calling an interview a love. I mean, they will not talk about the real enemies of our country.
Honestly, Dan, I've been on holiday for the last 2 weeks, and coming back into the fray of it and, this sort of churn of day-to-day politics, it's like descending into a sewer. It really is, like the state of this country. I mean, it's so interesting, the two faces of this country, because I have been on holiday to various different parts of the country, up in Scotland and elsewhere. And when you go to certain pockets of this country, it's like nothing's going on. It's peaceful. And I think people who get too wrapped up in the kind of, certainly social media, news cycle, all the rest of it, it's easy for us to forget that there is still tremendous beauty in this country, and there are still places of peace and tranquility. And I think it's incredibly important for those of us who work in this industry to take time away like that. Because when you do look back at what is actually going on in this country, the absolute avalanche of stories that you just went through, Dan, it's just astonishing, what a beautiful country this could be, but the direction that it's being taken in. I think that there is absolutely no doubt that grooming gangs have operated in London. Our research at Restore Britain indicates that they have operated in at least 85 local authority districts up and down the country, which is absolutely unbelievable. The nature of the crimes that have taken place in these areas by these gangs are just beyond belief. I have heard testimonies in real life from grooming gang survivors, and some of the things that they have gone through it's beyond words. It turns my stomach just thinking about some of the things that I have heard. But I think Khan has many reasons to cover up this scandal, as many of his Labour colleagues have reasons to do that, because they've happened primarily in Labour areas. It's primarily been Labour politicians that have been generally involved in these cover-ups where they have, demonstrably happened. And I think as well, especially in the case of Khan, and those who live in particularly diverse areas with large Muslim populations, it's in their interest to not anger this community. And I think that this is a community that thinks as a group, protects its own. And this is not to say, of course, that there aren't perfectly reasonable Muslims in this country who are appalled by what's going on. But let's be real, there's a huge number who, if one of their own is taken aim at, they tend to close ranks. And so I think Khan, because of his voter base, and you can look into the demographics of his voter base, it's certainly in his interest to not investigate this kind of thing and indeed to cover it up. And I also think that if the full facts of what has been going on in some of these towns and cities were to be shown, people like Khan would be, I think that it would be very, very difficult for them to ever show their face in public ever again. And I think history would remember them very, very poorly, and rightly so. And the question now is whether we're going to see that justice. I think that there is a huge public appetite for justice on this issue now, now that it is so widely known and widely spoken about. And after the kind of the veneer of racism and conspiracy that once surrounded this issue has all but fallen away. It's a very mainstream issue at this point. I think the question really is when we will get justice, and when the totality of what has happened does come to light, and then what happens after that. Because I think that this scandal, this crime against humanity, this like war crime level atrocity that's taken place on in the British Isles, it should precipitate a fundamental shift in how we think about our country and our history and our politics, because the conditions that allowed this to happen in the first place were an explicit creation, a decision by our ruling class. And we therefore must create laws, pass laws, repeal old laws, and create new conditions that prevent this from ever happening again. And I think at Restore Britain, we are really exploring what that next political paradigm is going to look like.
We must, because if we don't, then really there is not going to be any hope. I mean, some people already think it is potentially too late. But of course,
it's never too late, Dan. Anybody saying that is peddling nonsense.
No, that is true. That is true. We have to have hope, because otherwise there's nothing, is there? AY Audits, you have been a big part, of course, in this new media revolution. And we know how terrified the mainstream are of people like you. And later in the show, actually, we're going to talk about this Channel 4 hit job on you, because that's absolutely what it was. But I guess you weren't at all surprised to see them follow Tommy Robinson to Israel and try and claim that he's some type of far-right thug?
Well, thanks for having me, Dan, and thanks to everyone else who's in the chat and that, I guess. Mate, I wasn't surprised at all, really, to be honest with you. I think especially with the support that he's shown to us citizen journalists as well in the last few weeks. But, mate, they're just clinging on to whatever they can cling on to, and just try to throw as much as they can in the hope that it will actually stick at one stage, I suppose.
It's like their last battle, isn't it? You know, they're going down, but they're going to go down fighting. There was another bizarre thing that happened over the weekend, though. And Charlie, I wanted to show you this with your Restore Britain hat on. Rupert Lowe explained it this way, the head of Restore Britain. He posted, a police officer in uniform has been recorded on camera in public stating that I have racist convictions. I've been informed where and when this happened. I will be pursuing it with the relevant police force. It's simply unacceptable and must not be tolerated. In case you didn't see it, here's the video.
Got racist. Rupert's Lowe? No, he hasn't. I'm sure, isn't he?
No. I'll be careful calling Rupert Lowe a racist, mate, because we're not filming you right now.
Is he not?
Be careful. Hey, call a number, Rupert, 2011.
Where's he from?
Rupert Lowe's been one of our politicians for years in this country.
He's not a politician, is he?
Yeah, Rupert Lowe is, yeah. I'm telling you, put him in.
It was someone else then. Are you sure?
Yeah.
I've never heard of it. I'm really sorry, dude.
Charlie, I mean, he's sort of backtracked a little bit, but it does show you that this woke mind virus is absolutely present in so many of our police officers.
Well, that is certainly one component of it, Dan. But another component of it is the smear job that was attempted by Reform, because what this officer is talking about is a criminal conviction against Rupert, which doesn't exist. This is a totally fictional thing. But Rupert was reported to the police when he criticised Farage in the Daily Mail, which precipitated his unceremonious booting out from Reform UK. And so there has been a kind of I don't know, some kind of narrative created about Rupert that he is a criminal or a dangerous kind of individual. And when that gets filtered through, and when people hear, half of a story and this and that here and there, they do form these completely ill-informed conclusions about people, which lead them to saying things like Rupert Lowe has racist criminal convictions, which is just a total falsehood. Now, we received this video as soon as it went up, obviously, and I understand that Rupert is, let's say, pursuing the relevant channels on this issue because it's just totally false and totally ridiculous. And it would be one thing if this was just a random member of the public saying this on video, but it's the fact that it's a police officer that is just so egregious and so ridiculous. Because what's a police officer doing, talking in those terms, in such an obviously ill-informed way? The guy doesn't even know who Rupert is, obviously. And yet he is mouthing off on camera with his identification number on display about something he clearly knows nothing about. So it was really, I mean, on the one hand, you can't help but laugh because it is just so ridiculous. But on the other, it is really scary. It's scary about how easy it is to, take aim at somebody's reputation now in the kind of political landscape that we have in this country. How easy it is to smear somebody's name and to have those smears, those completely false smears, go around for a long time. It's been a long time since Rupert was reported to the police and found innocent of all of those spurious allegations. But here we are. Still, this narrative is ongoing. It's unbelievable. And I think part of the reason for that is because many in the establishment recognize Rupert for the threat that he is, including the likes of Farage.
Breaking right now, Dr. Hilary Jones axed from woke ITV, but I say this is 2 years too late after the TV doctor caused damage during the COVID farce that can never be reversed. So this is a really interesting one for me because for folk who don't know my mainstream media background, I spent a decade working at woke ITV before it was woke, when it used to be the champion of the working classes. And I featured alongside Dr. Hilary Jones on the Lorraine Show for 10 years. And even in March 2020, I will be honest with you, I was a little bit sucked in by some of Dr. Hilary's hysteria regarding COVID. But very quickly, I got myself educated. I started looking into this myself. I realized that what the government was pushing with woke ITV was not only hysteria, but lies designed to shut down our country, lock down our country, bankrupt our country. All three things happened. And I think he was a mouthpiece for some of the most terrible crimes that happened over that period. What I can tell you as well, because I know this for a fact, because Dr. Hilary told me in March 2020, is that he was being briefed directly by the government, by Professor Whitty, by those dark forces who still have not been held to account. So now Dr. Hilary Jones has been sacked or axed effectively by ITV. He says he'll leave at the end of his contract. But it's very convenient, isn't it? Given there's still be absolutely no ramifications for what they spread over that period. For example, Jamie Jenkins, the great stats Jamie, made the point that Dr. Hilary Jones should have been sidelined years ago for making repeated false claims about unvaccinated patients in hospital during the COVID pandemic, lost all trust as a commentator, never forget. Here's just one example of that.
You know, those people who haven't been vaccinated, we'd really love you to think again and be vaccinated, because 90% of people in hospital are unvaccinated right now with COVID.
That's a really figure that we have to really concentrate on. 90% of people in hospital have not been vaccinated.
No, Lorraine, it wasn't true. So it shouldn't be concentrated on at all, because it wasn't true. And actually, when the 10th anniversary of Good Morning Britain was celebrated last year, I posted lots of people celebrating a decade of GMB today. Despite my own personal history on the show, I would argue no media outlet has done more to damage Britain in the last few years with hysterical COVID scaremongering, lockdown pushing, and blatant left-wing bias. Never forget, Dr. Hilary Jones told people not to wash their cars outside and to wear a mask in the sea, among other ludicrous TV health warnings. So here's how The Sun revealed the news over the weekend that Dr. Hilary Jones was being axed from ITV. They revealed that the channel might not even have enough money for a leaving do. He told the newspaper, "I'm still working there until December the 31st, and then I'm a free agent. It's liberating from the constraints of a news program presenter. I'll probably come back as a guest presenter now and then. People are being very sensitive to the fact that some people are having to move on. A lot of people are being redeployed elsewhere or in the same role. ITV, like everyone else, are having to make changes." Asked if ITV was throwing a leaving party for those being made redundant, he said, "It would be lovely if they did, but we will wait and see on that one because money is tight." Certainly, there are groups of us who feel we're part of a family, so we will all be going out anyway, whether they pay or not. We will quite happily dip into our own pockets. He added, I think people at work know where they stand, and many saw changes coming. But to my superstar panel now, AY Audits and Charlie Downs. Charlie, I'm sorry. There actually still needs to be a reckoning about the behaviour of woke ITV, the destruction they caused to this country, pushing COVID hysteria every single day because, Charlie, it was good for their ratings. Remember, they had real financial motivation for doing so. And it was Dr. Hilary Jones who led the charge every single day. And look, Charlie, this is a guy, I know Dr. Hilary Jones. He was a Botox doctor, right? That was what he focused on. But because he became this telegenic figure during COVID and we were all locked in our homes and people turned on TV, he was used effectively, and I'm going to be honest about this, as a government propaganda tool. And woke ITV think they can just cut him loose now and expect us to forget what happened over that period. Well, I can't, Charlie. I cannot forget. I'm sorry. I can't and I won't.
Seems to be a theme emerging on today's showdown, which is the complete lack of justice for historic crimes of the British regime. That are still, they're essentially open wounds. I find it so astonishing that so many people in this country still can't grasp the fact, even after COVID and the likes of Dr. Hilary Jones and his ilk, the way there was this complete, there was no distinction between the state and private organizations, allegedly private organizations like ITV, the way in which they were so obviously an arm of the state. And the idea that we're supposed to believe that just ended when the COVID pandemic ended, I think it's just laughable. This has long been the case, long before COVID, and remains the case today. The media, the mainstream media certainly, whether they are nominally a state broadcaster like the BBC or not, they are all part of the same entity, which is what we call the regime. And the idea that a channel like ITV or indeed Channel 4 is providing anything like independent journalism is just laughable. It is an exercise in propaganda. And I kind of, truth and reconciliation, or indeed truth and retribution campaign against many of those who were the cheerleaders for lockdowns and for the vaccines and for all of the other myriad policies that were brought through during COVID, which in hindsight have without doubt been unbelievably destructive. And I don't know that we have seen the full extent of the destructive nature of those policies. I think that it may well be decades until we actually understand the extent of what was done to Britain and many other countries during that time. And I think it's absolutely essential for the soul of this country and for the other countries that underwent similar things, for there to be justice. And that goes for people like this doctor, among many others. We can't just let these people get off scot-free, because what happened during COVID was an injustice. It was absolutely unprecedented. And I think we forget that. I think it's easy, actually, for us to, in a way, repress what happened during that period. But every now and then I was paintballing a few weeks ago, of all things, and they still had all of their COVID propaganda up. They still had their social distancing signs. They still had their, wear a mask signs. They still had their QR codes to scan so that you could check in and say that you're here on the COVID app. Do you remember all of this? Like, I think it's easy to forget how insane this period was. But we mustn't forget that, because it could just as easily happen again. And I think that if anything was demonstrated by that period, it's that people are actually frighteningly willing to go along with that kind of thing.
100%. I mean, I guess one thing that it did do, AY Audits, though, is bring forward this generation of citizen reporters like you, independent media, because I don't know about you, but COVID was that moment when I completely split from my former colleagues in the mainstream media, because I realized they didn't know what they were talking about. and I'll never forgive them and I'll never trust them again.
I think, Dan, with the COVID thing, it just goes to show how gullible that the actual British public will be when the mainstream media are just keep pumping out all of this false information. And you hit the nail on the head. You said Dr. Hillary was specialised in Botox. The next thing, he's on ITV News, giving out the advice, pretty much what he's just been handed on a piece of paper. Right, you need to go out and say this really today, and so on and so forth. But
100%.
It's just, I think COVID, in a way, it actually showed a lot of the public as well that part of me thinks, would they get away with it again? Because the public have kind of woken up since then, or at least I would hope so anyway.
I think it's changing now though, right? Because there will be all of these new platforms next time. So hopefully they wouldn't get away with it in the same way.
You would hope not. Yeah, but this is the government that you are, that you're playing with. You know, like, so.
Yeah, and he was rewarded, by the way, AY audits. He was rewarded. I mean, he became, I think it was either a CBE or an MBE. So it's like he did the government's bidding, he did their dirty work. And as I say, I mean, I hold my hands up. In March 2020, when I was at The Sun, I was told, oh, Dr. Hillary Jones is the guy who you've got to listen to on this. So I had my show on Talk Radio at the time, and I had him on. But the difference is I woke up very, very goddamn quickly because it was so obvious what was going on. There were mainstream journalists like Piers Morgan who were continuing this fast for the next 2 years.
I know, I've seen it. You know, and well, I was awake pretty quick to it as well, to be honest with you, because I just carried on with day-to-day life. And I've never, ever had any jabs, and I've never taken a test.
Good on you.
I thought I would never take one of these COVID tests. And I've been fine. Like, I might have caught a cold or caught the flu. And I know some people lost their lives, so I'm not going to downplay it in any ways. You know, like families lost family members and stuff. So I'm definitely not going to downplay it, but you just...
Well, look, at the end of the day, though, there was a lot of damage that was also done by the terrible advice that was given by people like Dr. Hillary to, for example, have a jab when you were completely healthy and when you were full of COVID antibodies anyway. And oh my God, there is more I could say about this. Well, and one day I will. One day I will. But trust me, it's a big deal for me to sort of come out in this way against Dr. Hillary, a man who I knew, you know, who I had a personal relationship with. But what they did over that period was unforgivable. So unfortunately, I shed no tears. I think ITV Daytime were absolutely despicable over that period, and they lost the trust of the British public without any doubt. Breaking today, Loose Women is now involved in a major bullying row involving one of its biggest presenters. This is a new crisis for woke ITV. And it's one that's really interesting, actually, because how does TV deal with the fact that for so many years they have said, oh, we absolutely must listen to every accusation from every staff member about behaviour of our presenters, when all of a sudden it's just being used as a weapon to take people off air? Because the most extraordinary thing, this bullying row involves Kay Adams. Now, Kay Adams, you'll know, is one of the least aggressive people on that panel. You know, if it was Nadia Sawalha or Charlene White or Judy Love, then maybe I would have some type of sympathy. And these allegations are not actually involving Loose Women, but rather her BBC radio show. And BBC confirmed the news overnight with an article headline, Kay Adams taken off BBC radio show after conduct complaint. They said it was regarding an internal complaint about her behaviour. And there was more information on this, which revealed, by the way, and this was broken by the Daily Mail under the headline Kay Bullying Row, that it was because she shouted and screamed at junior colleagues. Now, this woman is paid £150,000 a year for her job, and it is believed the complaints were raised under the BBC's Call It Out scheme to address bad behaviour in the workplace, an initiative set up in the aftermath of the scandal over former MasterChef presenters Greg Wallace and John Turode. BBC Scotland refused to comment on the allegations against the former Strictly contestant Kay Adams, but confirmed she had not left the organisation permanently. One senior BBC source told the Mail on Sunday Ms Adams is not expected back on air for at least 2 weeks while the investigation continues. But the spokesperson said she hadn't even heard about it. Sources confirmed, however, Adams was asked to attend a meeting with the station's new head of audio, Victoria Easton Riley, on October the 8th. The BBC source said the meeting did not go well and Kay stormed out. She hasn't been back since and she's not been on air. Another senior BBC Scotland source said Kay has been taken off air. She's gone. There have been complaints about her behaviour and they've removed her while they investigate it. It's been talked about all over Pacific Key. After the Greg Wallace fiasco, they're now getting much tougher on complaints about the talent and are starting to take things seriously. Back to my superstar panel now. Independent media sensation AY Audits and Charlie Downs of Restore Britain. So, Charlie, look, this is really interesting, isn't it? Because, of course, there was always going to be a tipping point. And I think this tipping point has now arrived, where the woke mind virus has infected organisations like the BBC, and staff are so prissy and so concerned and so actually unable to deal with life in a newsroom that what they're doing is they're just willy-nilly getting presenters sacked. And at the end of the day, I've known Kay Adams for years. I've got no idea if she's tough with her staff members or bullying with her staff members. But what I do know, Charlie, is that a newsroom is a pretty tough place to work. I spent 20 years in newsrooms. You've got to deal with breaking news. You've got to be robust. Yes, sometimes the language can be a little bit fruity. Yes, when you're under a high pressure, live on air situation, guess what, Charlie? People might raise their voices. And afterwards, after the show, you might say, oh, look, sorry about that. It was just incredibly stressful when I was on air. The fact that the BBC has just taken Kay Adams off air for 2 weeks, to me, is looking like an overreaction. What do you think?
Well, I think they're probably just terrified of the next scandal that's going to hit them, because the BBC can't seem to avoid hiring weird degenerates, quite frankly. And I'm not saying that Kay Adams is in that category, but it's no secret that they have a long history of enabling, covering up, and really defending to the hilt people who are very dodgy, quite frankly. And I think that they are wise to that. And I think they're just terrified that when the next one of those is going to come along. So I think they're probably making a show of being tougher on their talent, in the hopes that that will restore their reputation in the minds of the public. Now, I don't think that's going to work, because I think in the eyes of the majority of people at this point, the BBC's name is mud. They, I think, are viewed en masse as not serving the public interest, not representing the views of the majority of the people in this country, and like ITV, as we were speaking about before, essentially operating as a mouthpiece of the state, and not in a way that serves the public interest, but which instead serves the interest of the bureaucratic managerial ruling class that governs this country. Now, it is interesting. I have noticed recently, I don't know if you've noticed this, Dan, but wherever I go, I seem to see more and more of these signs. I saw one on the road recently where there were some roadworks happening near where I live. That say, like, please don't hurl abuse at our staff, in so many words.
Yes.
Signs basically say, you see them on the trains, you see them in the post office, you see them in the doctors and so on. These signs are everywhere. And so it does seem to indicate that there is an increasing tension, perhaps, between just people in this country. And I don't think that that's surprising. Now, I don't know how much of this is as a result of government legislation. It's possible that there's a law that I've missed that means that organizations have to have these signs out. That is possible. But actually, I think it speaks more to an increasing feeling of social breakdown, actually, between people, because this word bullying means basically nothing at this point. It's
100%. It's like racist, isn't it? It's like far right.
It's been totally overused by people who are dishonest and who are using it to get one over on people and to get things that they want, quite frankly, and to wield power that they don't deserve. So it's almost completely lost its meaning. But I've got to say, on the other side of all of this, and maybe I'm just saying this because I've had some bad experiences recently, but there is a hell of a lot of incompetence out there. I have to say that, right? And so, whilst I don't think that we should be hurling abuse at each other, I think that's very un-English. It's very, very rude, very impolite. Actually, in a lot of ways, I can understand why there is this increasing prevalence of these signs and indeed these accusations. But with that being said, I do think that this is probably, on balance, all a bit spurious.
Well, yeah, because the thing is, what we don't want, AY audits, is like a woke, wussy society where people are too afraid to demand excellence in their place of work because they're so worried about staff raising spurious complaints. Now, actually, I even had a bit of an issue, AY audits, with what happened with Greg Wallace and John Turode. It seemed to me the main reason that those two were sacked was because they were white, middle-aged, straight men, which the BBC seemed to have a real problem with. But it certainly seems strange, AY audits, doesn't it, for a woman like Kay Adams, who has had quite a faultless career, certainly never been an issue behind the scenes on Loose Women, where, trust me, there are loads of divas there who cause lots of issues. She's not one of them. And all of a sudden, the BBC boot her off over bullying claims.
I think I don't know her personally, Dan, and you probably know her, obviously know her a lot better than what I do, but maybe...
never came across as a bully to me, genuinely. And there were a lot of bullies on that show, AY Audit. There were genuinely a lot of nasty women on that show. Sometimes I think they shouldn't call it Loose Women, they should call it Nasty Women. But she wasn't one of them, no.
I was going to say as well, like you could tell from that show, there's a lot of characters on there,
That's the
like big personalities as well.
Yeah.
But again, she could have just gone over to the BBC, Dan, and then maybe not conforming to the rules as to what they would like her to conform to, and maybe this is just a start where they try to maybe push her out. Like you just never know.
Absolutely. I think that is what they were trying to do. I really do. I think that she doesn't fit the mold of what they want. And so the staff members now realize through these campaigns, a campaign like Call It Out, they now have the power. And that's quite a terrifying thing, actually, because what you really want in society is to have, yes, robust policies that protect people against sexual predators like Jimmy Savile and Hugh Edwards, who, can we just remind everyone, were let loose to roam around the BBC for decades doing what the hell they wanted, rather than punishing someone like Kay Adams, who is a robust journalist, who probably has some woke staff members who can't cope with a raised voice every now and then in a live broadcast environment. And that, to me, is a case not of something that should ruin her career, but a case of if you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. Now, there is a serious campaign going on by the mainstream media to destroy our heroes of the citizen journalism space. And these people have done the most incredible job, especially over the past few months, when the mainstream media, when regime journalists have let us down at every turn. Especially someone like AY Audits, a guest on today's show for the first time, who has been absolutely unrepentant over the past few months in terms of exposing the scam that's going on at the migrant hotels, among many other scandals, which, let's be honest, are just completely ignored by the regime media and the mainstream media. And as you know, I absolutely love these guys. I think these guys are incredible. I've worked in newsrooms for 20 years in the mainstream media, but I don't give a damn if you have a journalistic qualification or not, because what these independent journalists are doing is bold and brave and totally game-changing in terms of the national conversation, because for the first time we can see with our own eyes what's going on. And I knew that it would make some of the stars, like AY Audits, a target. Sure enough, that happened with Channel 4 News launching a vile hit piece against him, which he discussed with Tommy Robinson outside court last week. Watch.
And what did Channel 4, the fake news, try to do to you a few weeks ago?
They tried to set me up, really, to be honest with you, but I think because...
Did it do you any damage, or did it get you more followers? What did it do?
It made me lose a few pounds. I was anxious during the day, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know the feeling.
I'm sitting there... I wish.
I know the feeling.
But I was anxious for my family and stuff, because you don't know what they're going to say. Yeah. And over the time, you see what's happened to people like Tommy, to other people. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And you sit there and you think, like, oh, crikey, like...
Tell people what you do. Where and how you start doing it.
So, about 2 years ago, I was just in the normal 9-to-5 life, getting up, working, home, shower, dinner. Not really interested in politics and stuff, do you know? Like, just carried on going on with normal life. And then I wasn't interested in social media, I still ain't. And one of my friends was showing me TikTok, and I said, nah, they won't do that. This is bollocks, do you know what I mean? Like, sorry for my language, but they're just telling lies. Our government wouldn't do this to us. And I was like, I want to go and find out myself. And that's what I've done.
And he did. And of course, he has amassed a massive following of millions and millions on YouTube. And guess who hates that? Guess who's furious about that? Guess who wants to shut him down and others like him? The mainstream media. Because they are dying on their ass. Their YouTube numbers are in the hundreds or the thousands, not the hundreds of thousands, because no one trusts the bullshit that they spout on a daily basis. So what do? When they want to destroy someone, when they want to cancel someone, they launch a fake investigation. And that's exactly what Channel 4 News did, as we just heard then in the discussion with Tommy Robinson on AY Audits. Now, luckily, this was completely spurious, and we will get his response in just one moment. But first, here is some of Channel 4 News' corrupt reporting.
He's had nearly 30 million views now, and this, his most viewed live stream outside the Bell Hotel in Epping, has more than 800,000 views. He shows the crowd recognising a woman they say is a counter-protester. He narrates to his audience.
Look how many police officers they've actually got around one person. Missiles coming in again. Police officers cut in the face.
Later, he asks,
will you be arrested once you get her out of here?
Earlier in the feed, next to the leader of an organisation that describes itself as a national socialist movement to preserve the white race, he advertises, when asked, a flyer.
Yeah, OK, no problem, mate.
Anybody who wants to look it up, go on Twitter.
There you go, guys.
Excuse me? He agreed to talk to us at one of the weekly Epping protests, where I asked him about the flyer.
It's an organisation that many people would consider to be white supremacist. Do you think there's a danger in sort of promoting or allowing someone to promote that material on your stream, you know, just like that?
I'm going to be totally honest with you, yeah. It is dangerous, yeah.
Do you regret it?
Well, I don't even know I've done it, so I can't quite say if I regret something or what, but if someone's come up to me and they've given me a, what did you say it was, white supremacist?
It said preserve the white race on it.
White race.
Yeah.
And I've flashed it. It's only, do you know what I mean? There's so many people come to these things with...
Is it the kind of organisation you would agree with?
Well, definitely not, you know, definitely not.
Barnes is also what's called an auditor, someone who approaches or enters premises filming often confrontational interactions with staff. Here you see him walking into the Hertfordshire hotel, and when asked by security staff and then police to leave, he refuses over the course of a 30-minute negotiation.
Please don't come back into the site.
Listen, I'll do what I want to do.
If you come back into the site, sir, then I'll arrest you to prevent a breach of the peace.
Go on then, do it then. I can walk over there in a minute.
Come back in the site.
Go on. I'll be walking straight through there in a minute. And there's not all you can do about it.
There is. I really don't want to get to this stage.
No, ain't.
They eventually arrest him. Arrests are among his most popular videos.
What do you mean I'm under arrest?
His views per month have risen from 1 million in May to more than 10 million by August, a tenfold increase.
And the AY audits, that who is on the Superstar panel today, alongside Charlie Downs of Restore Britain, that is why they hate you, right? That is why they hate you. As Scarpets has just said in the live chat, Channel 4 News is despicable. Because actually, what they want to do is destroy your livelihood. I mean, they, after that investigation, tried to get you demonetized on YouTube, approached all of the advertisers that were connected to your videos. And it's like, what are they so scared of? But we know what they're so scared of. People like you, citizen journalists like you, are putting them out of business, right?
Yeah, I think, you know what, Dan? First and foremost, it's not my livelihood. Yeah. Highlighting what I'm highlighting it's not for financial gain. It's not my job. Obviously, I do earn money out of it now, but it's not about that. It's about showing people exactly what's going on, whether it's at these hotels or whether it's at the protests. That was my focus. It was just about showing the people, showing the people the truth as best as I could, really, to be honest with you.
Absolutely. But Charlie Downs, you can absolutely see that the mainstream media are terrified, aren't they? Because that was like the ultimate Channel 4 hit piece. Because it wasn't just reporting on this phenomenon and saying, well, isn't this fascinating that there are these citizen journalists that are getting more views, right, than us in the mainstream media. That's not what it was about, Charlie. They wanted YouTube to actually remove AY audits.
Yeah, that was really slimy, actually, in their hit piece. I watched it before we came on. The way that they named like Boots and EasyJet and others whose adverts appear, as they do before all monetized videos on YouTube. Yeah, I think it's just really gross that this is an accepted thing. I mean, I've had hit pieces running against me. I mean, it hasn't been Channel 4, but Hope Not Hate have authored multiple articles on me. And it's a really horrible thing. Like, it's not fun. I agree. I'm sorry, AY Audits. I don't know your real name. I feel a bit weird calling you AY Audits. But
well, Channel 4, really, I was going to ask you about the AY Audits because Channel 4 revealed it. They almost doxed you, right? But do you want your real name out there, or do you prefer to be known as AY Audits?
You see, at the beginning, like, it all started, Dan, from the police. So the police was mentioning my name on live streams. They would start calling me by my name to get my name out there. When I used to pull them up about it, they used to say, well, we're not broadcasting it, you're broadcasting it, which was a fair point, I suppose, because I was the one live streaming. But then they started asking me if I still lived at so-and-so address. And this wasn't just Essex Police. This was also the Metropolitan Police. So then
So they were doxing you live on air, knowing that you were broadcasting?
Knowing that I'm live. And then when, like, I'm thinking about it at the time, and even, like, after, it's blatantly obvious. Essex Police and the Met Police, they conspired together to do that because it was two separate police forces acting in the same way, but at different times. And it just got to the stage where my name was going to come out. They was trying everything they could to try and smear me in any way they could, really, to be honest with you. And the last opportunity, well, say the last opportunity. You never know what's around the corner, but it was the leaflet, obviously, at the protest, and that's what they thought they would come for. And
yeah, I mean, Charlie, it's route one. Mainstream media trying to bring someone down. We've seen it time and again, but I don't think they're going to succeed this time.
They're absolutely terrified of independent journalists because, as we've said already on the show today, the mainstream media as it exists today is simply an arm of the state, and it's more and more people are realizing that this is the case. And I'm heartened actually by how many people are kind of recognizing them for what they are. And we know now that the Home Office, for example, does actually keep dossiers on independent journalists. Like my very good friend and colleague Lewis Brackpool recently sent an FOI request on behalf of Restore Britain for an investigation that we're doing, and was denied the data that he requested because of his personal social media activity. And the Home Office feared that providing him and us, Restore Britain, with that data would basically cause problems for them. So we know that the government is keeping files on people, likely, frankly, has a file on all three of us on the show today, being real about this, which is quite a scary thought. We know that this is happening, and it's at that point when you realize that this is the kind of state that we live under, that you realize that we're living in some kind of like Soviet style, authoritarian state. Like this is the world we're in now, and we have to be real about that.
We do. And the judge didn't want Ezra Levant in the Tommy Robinson court case last week to be able to live tweet, but he was absolutely happy with journalists from the regime media to live tweet, which tells you all you need to know. Look, AY Audits, I want to look at a couple of your greatest hits. This was the astonishing moment where you actually were allowed in to an HMO by one of the residents there. I mean, in the end, they called security on you. I'm fascinated to know what happened afterwards. But this was so eye-opening, and so many people are angry because we're actually seeing the luxury that these illegals arriving on boats are being able to live in on our dime. So I'll get your reaction after this, but I just want to play this moment, this absolutely fascinating moment when you actually managed to get inside.
So this is the new apartment block, guys. This gentleman's kindly offered to show me his room. Sure. Yeah, no problem, thank you. I appreciate it. So nice clean complex. Do they have cleaners come around and clean?
Yeah, they clean every week.
They clean every week?
Every week they clean.
They clean in the rooms?
They clean all the rooms.
Yeah, oh brilliant. Change bedding?
They clean the kitchen.
Kitchen?
The living room.
They got kitchen in there?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
They clean the kitchen, they clean the rooms, and they clean the corridor.
Okay.
Yes.
What about the clothes?
Oh.
They clean the clothes?
What?
They clean the clothes or anything?
There's a washing machine.
There's a washing machine inside? They give all the washing machine?
Pardon?
Oh, this is nice, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Hello, my friend. You alright, buddy? This is good, isn't it? Heating us on full blast.
Oh, this is nice, right?
Lovely. It's not a bad little spot. And you get washing machine and cooker?
Yeah, sure.
Microwave? He's from Kuwait?
I am from Kuwait and Turkey.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
It's very hot in here though, it's very warm.
Very warm, my friend.
Yeah.
Where's the toilet?
There's two toilets.
Two toilets?
Yeah, my friend's toilet is here.
Oh, what, you share this with somebody?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and what is he like? Is he okay?
Yeah, he sure is.
Yeah?
Okay, yeah. I choose good people.
Yeah, you choose good people, yeah?
Oh, do you get to choose then who you
Not
stay in
bad
a room?
spot.
I used to recommend to make
Right.
people.
Thank you, sir.
I want good people. Yeah, sure, sir.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I mean, AY Audits, it's like a thing of beauty, that video, because literally the moment you leave, there's like, was that a security guard or police had actually run up to get you?
Yeah, so that was one of the security guards. So previously to that, so the guy that actually was with me there was a guy called Bear Britain Audits. He's actually the guy, Dan, that filmed the police officer calling Rupert Lowe a convicted racist.
Oh, no way.
That's the same guy. That's Bear Britain Audits, which was with me when we went to the Chelmsford HMO. So he lives up north, but on the odd occasion, we will join together as citizens. If there's something to expose, then sometimes we will go together, you know, like, it shows more of it, doesn't it? The more of you that are there. Obviously, don't want too many, but yeah. So previous to that, I followed the coach from the processing centre in Britannia, Canary Wharf, and I knew the guys had only been there for 2 days, and we followed it anyway to Chelmsford, amongst other places that evening. And I couldn't quite believe what I see with this complex of flats. And I come back home afterwards and done a little bit of research. Well, actually, to tell the truth, the coach actually went back to the hotel, to the processing centre, with the rest of the migrants on, because they didn't want us to know where it was going.
No way.
He was following it, and they didn't want us to see.
And so with them moving them from the Britannia to the HMOs?
Yeah, so they was moved. So first of all, we went to, the coach had 22 people on.
Yeah.
I counted them on. We dropped 2 off at Forest Drive, 227 Romford Road. That's in Forest Gate in London, East London. So we dropped 2 off there to HMO, or suspected HMO, should I say, at the time. And then we followed it to Chelmsford, and another 2 got off at Chelmsford. So that left 16 still on the coach. But after the Chelmsford one, it went back to the Britannia, back to the processing centre. I think, but obviously it's only speculation, but they was going somewhere else after, obviously, because you had another 16 people on the coach. And they didn't want us to know where they was going. So they thought, right, we're going to have to take them back to the processing centre. They had already realised that we had found these flats. And once we had found the flats, they kind of knew we was there then. And the next day, or on the Monday, that's when we decided to go back there, get in the flats, like into the communal areas, which was pretty easy, and then spoke to this guy, and he invited us into his room to have a little look around.
Yeah, and the guy was from Turkey. I mean, astonishing. And I mean, in the full video, which you can see on your YouTube page, and I really do recommend people check it out. I mean, it's infuriating, right? Because you show how there's the sign up, which says, oh, if you want a doctor's appointment, just scan this QR code. It's like they are getting more privileges than what we are. I also wanted to just ask you about this other video, which you got recently, when you challenged directly Daniel Sanford of the BBC, the British Bashing Corporation, as I call it, in Epping. This was a really fascinating exchange. Watch this.
Yourself. I've been to enough of them. Make up your own mind. And I guarantee you, a lot more than what you think.
Either you work for the government or you're just totally naive. Well, neither of that.
Well, listen, you work for the government because you work for the BBC.
Well, we work for
yeah.
Oh, you don't work for us.
Your propaganda.
Your propaganda.
You work for the BBC, you know that as well.
See all them people bibbing, every single person bibbing, they're on our side.
All we ask for you...
They're on our side.
All we ask for
You've lost,
is
mate.
not being here. You know what I mean? And just show it.
No one believes you spin anymore.
They should not be going into brand new apartments.
YouTube. Myself. Oh, where is my channel? UK.
I followed it.
I've never seen any. Lyle just told me, he said you're here.
YouTube, yeah.
He's coming, hopefully.
Mate, I've got the evidence.
23rd November.
Look at your ratings up against an independent journalist. You're losing.
Now, that was before, right, he had that confrontation with Tommy Robinson outside court. But what was your sense of why he was there but not actually properly covering the story for the BBC?
So I'd met this guy before, actually. It was the night that Sarah White was actually arrested at Epping at the Civic Centre, which I'm a little bit suspicious of anyway, Dan, because he wasn't there before that, and that was the second time he's actually ever been there. But I think as like what Tommy was saying, and like what many people have been saying over the time, these people's stories are just, they're wrote already. They're just there to get a couple of pictures, couple of stuff for their little headlines, and then they're on their way, but they're not to be trusted, because I'm openly showing them stuff like this that's on the screen. And I'm sorry, like, the camera doesn't lie. Now, like, what we're watching is fact, you know?
100%.
Like, you've got 98.
And what do they have to hide? You know, at the end of the day, right, we're paying for this. We're paying for all of this. Surely we have a right to know what we are paying for. But they don't want us to know, because they know that the public don't want this, and they know that the anger... I mean, that's the QR code I was speaking about.
The question should be as well, like, once the migrants are finished with this building, because the government have purchased it for... Well, we will never know the true figure, but you're looking at about between 45 to 50 million quid that they've purchased this office block for and converted it into flats. But who's going to get it afterwards? What's the end game here? You know, like, it's scary thinking about it, to be honest with you.
Well, it's tragic, because I think, at least under this Labour government, they don't intend for us ever to get hold of it. I think they intend for this forever to continue to house invaders into our country, which is just so shocking. But look, that's why your work is so important. Absolutely loving what you're doing. AY Audits. You can find AY Audits, by the way, on YouTube under the Hotel Investigator. You've got 130,000 subscribers now. Yeah. And doing God's work. So congratulations on all of your success.
Well, the black's that way, actually, should I say?
Yes. There it is. There it is. Bloody hell. Yeah. Amazing. It's an incredible story. It is an incredible story, but people like you are increasingly important in this independent media revolution. So please do come back to Outspoken soon. That is AY Audits. And we'll reveal today, and thank you to Charlie Downs, of course, as well, campaigns director at Restore Britain. We will reveal today's greatest Britain and Union jackass in just one moment, but first to your comments. Strawberry Atheist writes, send in an old lady, this is in regards to Lindsay Hilson versus Tommy Robinson, to tackle a violent thug is kinda oxymoronic. They obviously don't believe he is a thug. Range Rover 63 said, I never watched Channel 4. It really is a shit show. It's just about Palestine. Ice Kitty 400 said, Ben Habib and Rupert Lowe is what we need for the UK, not weak source Farage. Dottie C said the Met Police have dropped investigating non-hate crime incidents. Another win for free speech. That's happened since we've been on air today. And Sophie Ray 536 said, Dr. Hillary should not be giving advice on paper cuts, let alone serious medical issues. Oh my God. That's made me chuckle, Sophie. Amazing feedback today. Thank you so much. Here's a reminder of your Union Jackass nominees. Sarah, the former Duchess of York, nominated by Lee Cohen, who describes her as a royal disaster. Marina Perkins, nominated by Mad Dog Photo for what appears to be a fake story pretending to be true about a brown-skinned person who helped pick up her son. And the aforementioned Lindsay Hilson of Channel 4 News, nominated by Tracy525, who says the Channel 4 reporter who tried to ambush Tommy Robinson on Saturday in Israel. And my goodness, it was an ambush, wasn't it? But it was an ambush that didn't succeed because, of course, Tommy Robinson just came for her. Okay, the results are in. Let's get to them. In third position with 20% of the vote, Marina Purkis. The runner-up with 29% of the vote, Lindsay Hilson. But today's Union Jackass with 51% of the vote, she's no longer a duchess, plain old Sarah Ferguson. And today's Greatest Britain, one of the friends of this show, Connor Tomlinson, nominated by Darren Donaldson for exposing the cover-up of an immigration debate by Michael Gove and The Spectator. And the great news is that Connor Tomlinson will be back on the show later this week, and he'll reveal the truth about what really happened in that shocking, shocking cover-up, which I've commented on over the weekend on X. Okay, we're moving over to Substack now, because huge royal news. This Prince Andrew crisis engulfing the royal family. Just the start, actually, as Prince William is convinced his cancer-stricken father, King Charles, hasn't gone far enough. So we're going to team up with the Royal News Network to reveal his audacious new plan to strip Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, Archie and Lily of their royal titles too, as the nuclear button is set to be pushed. So at this stage, we're going to move off YouTube and Rumble, continue over at Substack, www.outspoken.live. Please do subscribe to Outspoken as a podcast. You can find us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts from. And we will be back with you live tomorrow, 5 p.m. UK time, midday Eastern and 9 a.m. Pacific. You can subscribe too on YouTube and Rumble and turn on the notification bell to be alerted to our new episodes. And most importantly, I promise to keep fighting for you.